My parents are the kind of people who believe in working hard and rewarding themselves afterward. They build, plan, negotiate, and then disappear on well-earned trips once the work is done. Last month, all that effort paid off when they secured a massive business contract, which required them to fly across the country for a 3-day summit. They left early on a Tuesday morning, suitcases packed, coffee in hand, promising to be home by Friday afternoon. At 17, I didn't feel nervous about being alone. I felt excited. The house was mine. No schedules, no reminders. The first night passed easily. My best friend Leo came over with his gaming console, and we turned the living room into a mess of controllers, empty soda cans, and cold pizza boxes. We yelled at the TV, argued over stupid things, and eventually fell asleep on the carpet sometime after midnight. It was loud, normal, and comforting. The kind of night that makes you forget how fragile normal can be. The second night was different. Leo had to leave early for a family dinner, and by 10 o'clock the house felt enormous. Every sound carried. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant bark of a dog, even my own footsteps felt too loud. Suburban silence has a way of pressing in on you until your mind starts filling the gaps. I decided to head upstairs and sleep early. I was brushing my teeth when the sound came from downstairs. The sound is not frantic, not aggressive, just slow, deliberate raps against the front door. I froze, toothpaste dripping from my mouth. My parents weren't due back for another full day. After thinking, my first thought was Leo. Maybe he'd forgotten his charger. Still, something felt wrong. The knocks were too calm, too patient. I walked to the top of the stairs and opened the app for our doorbell camera. I tapped the live feed, expecting to see a familiar face, or at least a delivery truck. But the screen showed nothing. The porch was empty. The street lamp cast long, warped shadows across the driveway. But there wasn't a single person standing there. I laughed quietly to myself, embarrassed. "Get a grip," I whispered. I finished up and went to bed. The moment my head touched the pillow, the knocking came again. Louder this time, more insistent. My heart slammed against my ribs. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking as I pulled up the camera feed again. This time, someone was standing inches from the lens, and the person was my father. He wore his favorite gray wool coat, the one he always took on business trips. His face looked pale and tired, eyes slightly sunken, staring straight into the camera like he knew I was watching. "Dad," I called out, already running down the stairs. My hand reached for the deadbolt. "Why are you home? What happened?" I asked him. "Open the door, son," he only said. The voice was perfect. The same tone, the same low rasp I'd heard my entire life. "I forgot my keys. It's cold out here," he said again. My fingers wrapped around the handle. The metal felt icy. Then a thought hit me so hard it stopped me in place. Then I remembered my dad hadn't traveled alone. My mom was with him. They'd taken the same taxi, booked the same hotel room. If something had gone wrong, she would be here too, or at least calling me. "Where's Mom?" I asked quietly, stepping back from the door. There was a pause, just a fraction too long. "She went to visit her parents," the voice replied. "She took the car. Now stop messing around and let me in." My stomach dropped instantly, because my maternal grandparents had died 5 years ago. Whatever was standing outside didn't know that. It knew my father's face, his voice, but not his life. I backed away, every instinct screaming at me to run. I grabbed my phone and dialed my dad's number, and it went straight to voicemail. My chest felt tight as I called my mom. She answered on the third ring, her voice sleepy. Hotel noise humming softly in the background. "Hey, honey, everything okay?" she asked in the midst of being sleepy. "Mom, where are you? Where's Dad?" I bombarded her with questions. She sounded confused. "He's right next to me, asleep. We're still at the hotel. We'll be home tomorrow." This is where I knew I'm in a big mess. I hung up and called 911. From the kitchen, I could hear it long. Slow scratches dragging across the front door. Nails testing the wood. By the time the police arrived, the porch was empty again. They found muddy footprints leading from the woods to my door. But they weren't human. The toes were too long, the stride too wide. The officers refused to leave me alone. I spent the night at the station under bright fluorescent lights. Even now, I still wonder if I hadn't asked about my mom. If I had just unlocked that door, what would have been standing in my hallway? And what would be my fate that night? What will you do in this situation, where your stepmother asked your neighbor to watch over you but later turn into something else? Don't watch this video alone. My stepmother, Ilona, has never been a cruel woman. If anything, she's always cared too much. Since marrying my father, she's treated me like something fragile, constantly reminding me to lock doors, turn off lights, and never wandered too far from the house alone. Living in an old, isolated farmhouse only fueled that anxiety. When Elena had to leave for a full week to care for her sick sister in the city, she was visibly distressed about leaving me behind. Before she even finished packing, she walked down the gravel road to our nearest neighbor's home. Our nearest neighbor, Mrs. Gable, lived in a small cottage just past the tree line, a short walk away. She was a widow in her late 70s. She was quiet, polite, and known in the area as harmless. Elena asked her to check on me every day, just to make sure I was eating, sleeping, and keeping the doors locked. Mrs. Gable agreed immediately, smiling a little too eagerly. For the first couple of days, everything felt normal. She'd come by in the afternoon with soup or bread, sit at the kitchen table for 10 minutes, ask how school was going, and leave. I figured Elena's worrying had been unnecessary. By the third day, though, the visits started to shift. On Tuesday night, Mrs. Gable knocked at exactly 11 p.m. She apologized for coming so late and said she just wanted to be sure I was safe. It unsettled me, but I brushed it off as an old woman losing track of time. On Wednesday, I woke to the sound of whispering. My bedroom window sits low to the ground, and when I turned my head, I saw Mrs. Gable face pressed flat against the glass. Her skin looked pale in the moonlight, her breath fogging the pain as she murmured my name. "Eliza, are you awake, dear?" She rasped softly. "I just wanted to see if you were tucked in." I didn't answer. I couldn't. I lay frozen until she finally drifted away into the darkness. By Thursday night, I was exhausted, jumpy, and terrified. Every sound made my heart race. At exactly 3 a.m., the tapping came again. This time, I didn't look toward the window. I pulled the blanket over my head and squeezed my eyes shut, silently begging her to leave. Then I heard something worse. The slow, unmistakable creak of the back door opening. The door with the faulty latch Elena was always worried about. I couldn't move. My entire body locked in place as fear crawled up my spine. Mrs. Gable was the one trying to open it, and that freaked me out. With shaking hands, I called Elena and whispered through tears, telling her everything. She was horrified. She promised to contact Mrs. Gable's son immediately and demand that the behavior stop. After that call, the house felt heavy, like something was still lingering inside it. The next night passed in total silence. No knocking, no whispers, no shadows at the window. For the first time all week, I felt safe enough to sleep. I turned off my lamp and let the darkness settle. I was just beginning to drift off when I heard it. I heard a sound coming from beneath my bed. My breath caught painfully in my throat. I sat up slowly, my heart hammering. "Mrs. Gable," I whispered, hoping and desperately that I was dreaming. I leaned over the side of the mattress. In the faint glow of moonlight, I saw two pale, wrinkled hands wrapped tightly around the wooden slats of my bed frame. Slowly, a face emerged from the darkness beneath me. Mrs. Gable's hair was tangled and filthy, her eyes wide, bloodshot, and completely unhinged. "I just wanted to make sure you were coping." "Eliza," she hissed, her voice dry and brittle. "I wanted to be close. I needed to watch over you." The terror was overwhelming. My vision blurred, my chest seized, and the room collapsed into blackness. I woke up 2 days later in a hospital bed. A younger neighbor named Mark had been walking his dog when he noticed my front door standing wide open. When he came inside to check, he found me unconscious on the bedroom floor. Mrs. Gable was still there, sitting calmly in a rocking chair in the corner of the room, humming a lullaby while cradling a kitchen knife in her hands. The police later discovered she'd stopped taking her medication weeks earlier and had developed a dangerous fixation on protecting me. She's in a psychiatric facility now, but I still can't sleep in a bed that isn't bolted to the floor. And every time a floorboard creaks at night, I feel that same cold dread settle in my chest, terrified that when I look down, I'll see those pale, waiting hands again. Being 20 and still living at home has its advantages. No rent to pay, familiar routines of the house, a sense of safety that comes from knowing exactly how the house sounds at night, but being left alone for an entire week while your parents travel across the state for your older brothers. University graduation is not one of those advantages. They left early on a Thursday morning, hugging me goodbye in the driveway, promising to check in every day. By Saturday night, the house already felt wrong. It was too quiet, too empty. Every sound echoed longer than it should have. The refrigerator hummed loudly in the kitchen. The ticking clock in the hallway seemed deliberate, almost intrusive. I'm a night owl, and around 11:30 p.m., hunger finally forced me to move. I realized I hadn't eaten since lunch. The fridge was nearly empty, and the idea of cooking felt exhausting. The The 24-hour convenience store was only 3 blocks away. I'd made that walk countless times before, so I told myself it was no big deal. The night air was thick and humid, the kind that clings to your skin. A light drizzle coated the sidewalks, reflecting the glow of the streetlights. Our neighborhood is usually safe, quiet, predictable, but after midnight, everything feels different. Shadows stretch longer. Every flickering light feels like a warning you don't fully understand yet. After getting to the store, I got my snacks, paid quickly, and started the walk back, my hoodie pulled up as rain speckled my sleeves. As I turned the corner onto my street, my stomach tightened. A man was standing directly across from my house. He wasn't walking a dog. He wasn't smoking. He wasn't looking at his phone. He was just standing there, completely still, facing my front door. His posture was wrong in a way I couldn't immediately explain. His arms hung too far from his sides, stiff and awkward, and his head was tilted sharply to one side, as if his neck didn't quite work properly. He didn't look at me, but somehow, I knew he was aware of me. Adrenaline surged through my body. I slowed my steps, pretending to adjust my hoodie, and made a quick decision. I didn't want to walk past him. I didn't want him to know which house was mine. I pivoted and took the long way around, slipping into a narrow alley that cut behind the block. My heart pounded, but I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. People stand around late at night. Weird doesn't always mean dangerous. Then I heard some sounds like shoes on wet pavement, steady, intentional. I glanced over my shoulder. The man from my street had entered the alley behind me. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't hesitating. He was matching my pace perfectly, his head still tilted, his arms swinging slightly too stiffly at his sides. Then I started to jog. So did he. I broke into a sprint. My lungs burned. I could hear his breathing now. As I burst out of the alley onto the next street, my hope shattered. 2 more men stepped out from behind a parked van. One moved directly into my path, blocking me. The other closed in from the side. They didn't shout. They didn't threaten me. They just positioned themselves with calm precision. I was being boxed in. Panic is cold. It doesn't scream. It locks you in place. I realized I couldn't run home. They already knew where I lived. Instead, I veered hard left and sprinted toward my neighbor's house, who is Mr. Henderson. He's an old veteran who lives alone and stays up late watching television. I didn't stop to think. I hit his porch and slammed my fists against the door. "Mr. Henderson, please, help me," I screamed. The porch light flickered on. The heavy oak door opened, and he stood there holding a flashlight. Confusion etched across his face. I didn't wait for permission. I stumbled inside, shaking so badly I could barely speak. "There are men," I gasped. "They followed me. They're outside. Right now." Mr. Henderson moved instantly. He shut the door, locked it, and peered through the narrow sidelight. The color drained from his face. "Call the police, Annie," he said quietly. "Now." I looked past him. 2 of the men stood at the edge of his lawn, staring at the door. They weren't pacing. They weren't angry. They looked like they were waiting for instructions. When sirens finally wailed in the distance, they didn't run. They stepped backward slowly and disappeared into the trees with a synchronized silence that terrified me more than any weapon could have. The police searched for over an hour. They found nothing. No vehicles, no footprints, no witnesses. My parents came home the next morning, apologetic and shaken, but the damage was already done. I don't go out after dark anymore, because I keep wondering if Mr. Henderson hadn't been home, would they have taken me? Or worse, was I just the first one they noticed?